show ya. Nigeria, Bioko Island, Liberia, I wanna know ya. Cameroon, Guinea-Bissau, Sierra Leone, gotta let me show ya. Nigeria, Bioko Island, Liberia, I wanna know ya. Let it all hang out. DNA brings the car people out. The artistic, so gifted. African ancestry gets it. Yes, they black owned for the people. In the roots, they will find your sequel. Genetic test in the process, peaceful. Reunite, multiply with your equals. Black scientists, research it. Invest in that time, you're worth it. Experience feels so perfect. Get on the right path to your purpose. No other in the industry like this. Find your link to a tribe, precise kit. The Mende people, Mendenga, Balanta, the house. I wanna know ya. Cameroon, Guinea-Bissau, Sierra Leone, gotta let me show ya. Nigeria, Bioko Island, Liberia, I wanna know ya. Cameroon, Guinea-Bissau, Sierra Leone, gotta let me show ya. Nigeria, Bioko Island, Liberia, I wanna know ya. AfricanAncestry.com, the pioneers in genetic tracing for black people. Since 2003, doing what no other in the industry can do by tracing your DNA to the present day African country, ethnic group, or tribe. What better time than now to find out where you came from? Order your kit today.
Hey, how y'all doing? What's up? What's up? I want to know ya. Happy Wednesday, everybody. I'm Gina Page. I'm the CEO and co-founder of AfricanAncestry.com. Thank you for joining us. Drea is here as usual. Drea, you're usually the first one here. Hey, Avanti, good to see you. Welcome, everybody. We are African Ancestry. We are the pioneers of genetic ancestry tracing for Black people around the world. And we are on a mission. It's an international mission to help Black people transform the way we view ourselves and the way we view Africa. And we're doing that through DNA. So you all know how we do. We're the only company that can take your DNA and then identify the present day African country and ethnic group or tribe. I'm going to say that again. The only company that can identify the present day African country and tribe of either your mother's line going back 500 to 2,000 years, or your father's line going all the way back. We do this work because we are committed to Black identity. And as Black people, we have to know where we're from in order to know who we are. And once you know where you're from, a whole new world opens up, as you'll see from my guests, the family that's going to be joining me shortly. They're in the wings. Matarsha's here. Hey, Vicky, glad to see you. Hi, Lori. William Kirk Davis II. We're talking about your country, Sierra Leone. Nadine, Anita. Hey, Lisa. Hey, Byron, Regina, everybody's here. David, Yahosef, Robin, Juanita, you snuck in here. Hey, Manya. Manya's representing for Cameroon, the Mafa, Masa, and Kotoko people. Plachette is down there holding it down in New Orleans, in New Orleans. Samuel's here. Hey, Kareem. Robin, everybody. Edleen, woo! We got Edleen on here. Shout out to Edleen. Edleen, you're always my special guest. Edleen Elba hosted us when we were in Sierra Leone a couple of weeks ago. So speaking of Sierra Leone, we just came back from the inaugural African Ancestry Family Reunion. And this is an initiative that we launched at the end of 2019 as a way for people who take our test, African Ancestry Family, to go home. To go home, now that you know where you're from, you can actually go there and be completely immersed in the culture, meet and learn from and engage with the people, and just have that, close the loop on finding out where you're from. Shout out to Donald Peoples. Got his results today. Oh, Charles Murphy. Okay. Well, wait a minute. I'm getting all excited. Charles was with us. We ran into Charles in Sierra Leone. Donald, welcome to the family, the Igbo people of Nigeria. So we had these family reunions, and we set up 4 family reunions, one for Sierra Leone, one for Burkina Faso, one for Ghana, and one for Senegal. And we were launching them in 2020. And you all know what happened in 2020. So didn't nobody go on any family reunion. But now we're back. It's 2021. And some of our family members, people like Fode and Shavana, I think PC Hawa, there's a core group of Sierra Leoneans, Mende, Temini, maybe some Limba, who had been traveling to Sierra Leone and planting the seeds for citizenship. And so in what year are we in? We're in 2021. In 2020, in November of 2020, the Sierra Leonean government began granting citizenship to people who could prove their maternal or paternal descent is Sierra Leonean. And that has just snowballed in a positive way. In January, a larger group of people went and were granted citizenship. And then in April, last month, 59 African Ancestry family members landed in Sierra Leone to be granted citizenship. And 10 of them came with us on an African Ancestry family reunion, the very first one. So I've wrangled, Wendy and I have wrangled the majority of them to join us tonight to talk about the trip and talk about the experiences. I want to make sure I shout out people like Darnell Clayton and Kenneth Howard and Charles Murphy and Tessa and so many people that we met for the very first time who are part of the extended African Ancestry family, and we got to meet and know them in Sierra Leone. Kenny Nesmith, thank you for joining us for the first time. We got Vivian checking in from Arizona. Della's here. Sanantat is here. Hey, Tony, Tommy, thank you for joining us. Kareem, Robert, oh my God, so many people. So without further ado, okay, Avis wants to know, do we have the next date for going back to Sierra Leone? So we know it's going to be in November, Avis. We have not finalized the dates yet. As soon as we have the dates, you will know, because we'll be sending an email to everybody in our database whose ancestry is Sierra Leone. So if you don't get emails from us, you want to make sure you join the mailing list so we can be in communication with you. Hey, shout out to Blind Guy, his wife, their life. You guys are always here. It's good to see you and have you contributing. So on April 19th, I met most of these people for the first time in Dulles Airport. We had, Wendy, I know. Shout out to Wendy. She's our Facebook Live producer. So I knew you, Wendy, but Wendy was there. Then I met Pamela was there with her son, Brandon, joined us. Hey, Pamela.
Hey.
Good to see you. Then I met Miss Rosalind. Rosalind Watson joined us from Florida.
Hi, everyone.
Chazelle in the house. What's up, Chazelle?
What's happening, Dr. G?
Chazelle came in from Arizona. Will Calhoun, who you guys have seen on African Ancestry Lives before, joined us from the Bronx, God's country, right, Will?
That's right. That's right.
Okay, wait, I'm trying to here we go. And then Jay Cameron joined us. He's here in the DMV. How you doing, Jay?
Hey, what's going on, Gina? Glad to be here.
It's good to see all of you all. This is a reunion for the family reunion. Yeah. So how are you guys doing? Is anybody still suffering from jet lag?
No.
I am, just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Yeah, I know Wendy was posting online like 3 o'clock in the morning, pissed because she stayed awake or she woke up early. Have you recuperated?
Yes, I'm recuperated. I'm getting my normal cycle of sleep now, and I'm grateful for it.
All right, cool. So I know that there are a lot of questions. I have questions. I'm sure that people who are watching have questions, and we'll keep our eyes out for those questions. But I want to start with this question. What motivated you to even take an African ancestry test, Jay? What made you decide to take an African ancestry test?
Well, I think it was you. But back in 2018 was when actually we did a live together, and that's when we did the reveal. And I didn't know anything about the Temene tribe and knew very little about Sierra Leone. But when you explained it to me, I was so intrigued by it. And I said at that point, I was determined to visit Sierra Leone one day. So it was going to be one day in the future. And I had no idea that I would be a part of the African Ancestry Family Reunion, going and obtaining this right here. And that tells you how real what you're doing is, because when I hold this up, I was in Lowe's yesterday picking up some items, and I saw the young lady, the cashier, and I looked at her name and I said, where's your name from? She said, West Africa. I said, okay. I said, which country? She said, and she kind of said it under her breath. She said, Sierra Leone. I said, really? I said, well, and I reached down and I got my passport out, and she was blown away. She was like, what? She was like, where? How did you get that? And so I was telling her about African ancestry. So that's where everything got started for me. And I'm really excited, had a great time, and excited to be a part of the inaugural African Ancestry Family Reunion.
Okay, well, I'm going to jump to you, Pamela. So what made you decide to take the test first? Let's don't talk about the trip. Let's just focus on the test. What made you decide to take the test to figure out where you're from?
Well, being the family genealogist, I had taken other tests and all I got were percentages, which didn't really help me with anything other than, okay, yeah, I know I'm from Africa and this percentage, but I took it because I wanted to know exactly where my lineage came from. So you are the premier and only one that does it. So I was all in.
Genealogist. Rosalind, what made you decide to take the African ancestry test?
I had wanted to take it a while back, and we had some of the family members had done the tests that gave the percentages, as Pam said, but I always wanted to know really where in Africa were we from. And so it was on my mind this past year, and finally, I think it was around November or so, I sent for the test. I was sick at the time, so I waited for a while to take it. I just always had that desire. I know my grandmother used to tell us that her grandfather was from Africa. I know that test didn't tell me his lineage, but it was still something that I wanted to know. And I was just, I did it, and then I was worried because it took so long to come back, but I was so excited when it did come. Can't hear you.
Oops. Were you familiar with Sierra Leone when you got the result?
Not at all. Other than I had a book by, I think it was Israel. No, it's a young man that in the war. I read a couple of his books, a novel, Ishmael Bia, and he told a story, a novel on people coming back after the war. And then I had read his memoir. And so other than that, and knowing, in the past, the history of the Civil War there, no, I didn't expect to see Sierra Leone, even though it was one of our percentages, it was like the second one.
So Chazelle, I think you might have been the last person to sign up for the trip. What made you decide that you were going to get on a plane during the pandemic and go to Sierra Leone?
I could not pass up the opportunity for citizenship. That for me, it pushed it right over the edge. I also was thinking about, it is COVID. COVID is real. So I had to do my research and see how I was feeling about that. Was I going to be comfortable? And how I felt about the vaccine. Could I do it? How I was feeling about that. And I knew that I had to go and get citizenship. But then when I also looked at the COVID numbers, so when you looked, like, according to Johns Hopkins University that tracks the COVID numbers worldwide, the COVID numbers in Sierra Leone were so small as compared to what we were dealing with here in the US. I was like, so why am I afraid of COVID? I mean, literally, every case is meaningful, but literally it was a few thousand cases. And unfortunately, I said, oh, you can't, maybe they're undercounted. I said, well, if it's Johns Hopkins, if they're undercounting for Sierra Leone, they're undercounting for us too. So it kind of sealed the deal for me and made me feel more comfortable that if I can handle it here, I can handle it there. So I had to go, I had to go. I couldn't not go.
I'm so glad you did come, Chazelle. And Will, what made you decide to come? Because I know you have a pretty busy schedule and you've traveled all over Africa. What made you decide to come in the middle of a pandemic?
The pandemic. The pandemic allowed my life to change. Everything shut down. I got a chance to be quiet and look around and see what was happening in my life and what things that I want to really get to. And you know how we always say, we're going to get to something. I'm going to get to this. I'm going to clean this out. I'm going to get to this, clean out the garage, or I'm going to play guitar. I'm going to take this computer course. And we don't do it because we get distracted by things in our life. And the pandemic actually had me look at this opportunity under a different lens. So being able to be home and shut down and look at the real things in life that matter to me, not so much the commercial things or some of the academic things. Immediately, when the opportunity came up, I forgot about it for a little while. So I know I came on at the last minute too, but I decided, no, now is the time. And I wanted to come back also with a certain kind of a feeling and emotion and information that could help me finish with things that I was thinking about during this pandemic. It sort of would complete my meditation time, so to speak. And that was what inspired me, just not being able to go out, seeing the same people, wearing a mask all the time. That shutdown time opened up my head to some more, I think, important aspects of life.
Okay, cool. Now, Wendy, what was it like for you? This was not your first trip to Africa by any stretch of the imagination, but what was it like when you stepped off the plane with all of the other people that were coming to Sierra Leone and you realized that you were home? What was one of the first things you thought?
I was like, I'm back. That's what I really thought, because I was feeling like what the devil tried to do and take away from me, I'm coming to get back. Taking it all back, taking my birthright back. I think Chazelle in our orientation class said something about birthright, and it clicked for me that this is my birthright. And through the technology of African ancestry, you have allowed us to actually go back and claim what is ours. So that's what I thought.
Okay, cool. Lightning round. Pamela, what was your first thought?
It was just really overwhelming. I felt a sense of relief that I was finally home and I felt welcome. And it was just a wonderful, wonderful feeling. I can't even explain. This was my first time on the continent of Africa. So I was just overwhelmed, honest.
So it being your first time on, well, no, let me keep going on the lightning round. Hold on. Okay. Roz, what was your first thought?
I just felt joy. I felt happy. I don't know. I've always felt very close to my grandmother, and just knowing that this is where her people was from just made me just very happy. I just felt real happy and joy. I felt peace. It was overwhelming. And then being met by the people there singing and dancing, it was a marvelous reception.
What about you, Jay?
Just the warmth of the people and the reception that we received at the airport, and how how welcoming. I think that was the part, the warmth and how welcoming everybody was. That was the part that I really remember, and what resonated with me when we landed.
Giselle?
I had two immediate feelings. One was a feeling of, for me, it was like a feeling of healing. I felt this warm healing sensation come over me as I had healed this wound, was healing process of a wound that had been opened when I was a very little girl and had continued to be ripped apart as a Black woman in America. And the second thought was that I was a bridge, that I was now the bridge that was connecting our ancestors who were ripped away from this land. And I now could be the bridge for our current and future generations that wanted to come back and reclaim our birthright.
Woo, Will, you got to follow that. What was your first thought?
I'm going to follow it by saying, yeah, Giselle, I hear you. For me, it was completion. And I've been to the continent quite a bit in the last even 25 years, but never to Sierra Leone. So for me, it was, first of all, traveling without work was the first thing I had to adjust to. I'm so used to traveling with gear or with being on tours. And I literally went just for this purpose, which was a beautiful experience to go without having all the other baggage of tour dates and hotels and where you're staying. This was a straight up cultural connection. So the bridge piece is real, but I just felt it was the beginning of me completing a part of my life that I struggled with as a child and in school and in class and researching music. Now I felt like I was getting really close to that completion piece where I could start to tell a new story.
Okay, nice. So we're there, we get off the plane, we do our COVID tests, we get in we walk to the bus, we get on the van, we get on a boat. We get on a boat to go to Freetown, to get to Freetown, and the adventure starts. So, Wendy, what for you was one of the highlights of the trip?
So one of the highlights was going to Tasso Island, and it's the village of the Timini, and walking in and having the women greeting us at the boat to sing to us, to welcome us. And the funny little thing was these little baby boys, they kept calling us Oporto, which is Portuguese white man. And I was like, stop calling me white man. And they kept saying it like they were antagonizing me, but we were laughing. And they said it like almost the whole way walking. And I thought that was just so funny because I'm like, you know, when can I win? Like I can't win in the US and now I got these little, I'm on my ancestral land and now I got somebody calling me white man. But, you know, and then I got a name and my name is Rukor, which means leader of the people, and it fits me so well. So that's the highlight for me.
Okay, here we go. I'm gonna pull Jay in now. Because you also have a Timini result and you were part of that naming ceremony. Can you describe what the ceremony was like and how you felt going through it?
It was really a very surreal moment because in America, you know how trying to figure out our ancestry and trying to figure out our history and not having those connections, I did not know anything. I mean, it was just when I was going back, it was like, wow, this is where a part of my heritage comes from. And to see how I went to the like a back room with the elders, and so they gave me my tribal name, which is Pa Sorde Canoe. And so they were talking to me and they were explaining to me just a little bit about what was going on. And so then when I walked back out and I heard everyone singing, I was like, wow. I said, this right here is a moment that so many people never had the opportunity to experience. So the feeling of gratefulness really overcame me because I was like, wow, this is something that I will be able to treasure and hold on to for the rest of my life. And I'll be able to tell these stories for the rest of my life. And just being in that moment and looking back and reflecting on it is something that, again, I'm just grateful to have been a part of it.
We're glad that you were there. I have to say, there was a funny moment when the boat pulled up to the island. We couldn't go to the dock because the tide was too low. And Pamela, I don't know if you knew I was going to come to you on this one, but when we got there, the captain of the boat just pulled up as close as he could to the shore, and we were all looking at him like, okay, well, how are we going to get off? So Pamela, I think your face said it all when we got off the boat. Can you explain what that was like?
Pulled up, and there was quite a bit of distance between where we were and the actual shore. And people were, the men were coming and carrying all of us off the boat. And when it got to me, I guess I didn't see the man, but he pushed everybody else out the way and was like, "Oh, I have this. I have her. I got her." And I'm like, you might need to get a couple more people because I'm not a lightweight, but he's like, I got it. And I was, next thing I know, I'm in his arms and he's carrying me on shore. And I was like, okay, am I being married off or something or what? Because he kind of acted that way.
Yeah, I remember. I think I was one of the first people who got off. So I saw everybody's face, and your face and Rosalind's face. You guys were kind of towards the end, and you all were just like, I don't believe this is happening. But we all made it, obviously. Okay, so Rosalind, what's one of your highlights for the trip?
So many, but I'll go ahead and say the Mende naming ceremony. I had an opportunity to meet my family, my adopted family there, and just the entire day was such a beautiful time. They gave us our names. Well, they introduced themselves, asked us to introduce ourselves, and then they introduced themselves and told us that I really like the fact that they had our names before we got there. And I felt that the names really matched our personalities, and I felt mine did when I heard it. It wasn't a name that I thought I was going to receive, but when I heard it, it's like, oh my gosh, that is so true. My name is Konya, and it means someone with strength, someone that will fight for her people. And that's something that, I felt applied to me so well. And as I heard some of the other names, just a little time and getting to meet some of this, it's like, oh wow, that is her. That's it was a good time. That was a special time for me.
Now, some of the other Chazelle or Pamela or Will, do you guys want to chime in? Because you also are Mende and were part of that naming ceremony. Raise your hand, just do like this and I'll unmute you, whoever. Okay. Chazelle.
After that was definitely one of my highlights. The name that I received was Manu, and Manu means one that has mercy and always forgives. And I felt that it really closely matched my personality, and it matched very closely a name that I had been called since a very little girl, Nunu. And I was like, it was amazing to me that this connection. So I felt immediately that, wow, the ancestors really have guided me here and have brought me here. I was meant to come for this trip, and my ancestors have guided those who have named me. It was so deep for me. I started crying, and the chief says, "You're crying? You don't like your name?" I said, "No, I love it. I love it. It's wonderful. I'm crying." He says, "You're not being chief." I said, "Why?" He says, "Because you're crying." I was like, okay, I'm done crying. Okay. So I can be strong, but there's nothing wrong with crying. It was just a moment I was having, but it was so deep and so meaningful. Real quick, my other highlight is meeting the president. Now, meeting the president is, okay, fine, meeting the president, but I'm just saying, I've been in America all my life and I ain't never met the president. We met the president twice, y'all. And I got a selfie with the president. So it was just so wonderful. The level of access we had was just unheard of. It was unexpected, and it made their trip that much deeper, that much more meaningful, that much more authentic. Because we went in some back doors that we didn't even know had back doors, and we went up some side stairs and met some folks that really helped us, and we'll stay connected to them, I think, for the rest of my life.
Nice. So who wants to go next? Pamela, ladies, let's do the ladies. Pamela, what was one of your highlights?
Bunce Island, I would have to say. It was very powerful, very emotional, just being there and seeing the ruins that were still standing where our ancestors were last held before they were taken, to all across the world, mainly here in the States. But that, and of course the naming ceremony, and I got my new name. It's Gilo, and that means never leave us or always stay with us. So that was very, very heartwarming for me.
Nice, nice. Thank you. Adeline wants to know what is the procedure to obtain a passport once genetic is confirmed? So right now, Sierra Leone is the only country that I'm aware of that is granting citizenship based on African ancestry results. And they have a whole, they have a whole sort of application process that you have to go through. But you have to have an authenticated certificate from African ancestry. And then they do the ceremonies at certain points in the year. So if you stay tuned to travel.africanancestry.com, you'll be able to see the next Sierra Leone trip, and all of the requirements for citizenship will be listed there. Let's go to you, Will. What was one of your highlights?
Wow. There's so many beautiful ones. The naming ceremony was powerful, of course. Growing up in the States and having names that come from Europe was really, really, really powerful. And the meaning of the name I was concerned about. I didn't know if they were going to give me something. So mine is Tewu. Tewu is one that surprises. I guess they were giving examples that spiritually I wasn't supposed to return, and I did. And I do things kind of on impulse, or things that I feel like are kind of acts of kindness. So that was positive. But to answer the question directly, this president's speech before we received our passports and citizenship papers, where he kind of stopped reading the paper, which he had the written speech, and he looked at us, everyone in the room, and he said, it's terrible what's happening in your country with your people, things that are happening. And he mentioned a couple of names like Floyd and Breonna Taylor and so on. And he mentioned that, Sierra Leone isn't a perfect place, but the fact of the matter is now you have an option. And for the president of a country to recognize what's happening to you in your own country, and honestly stop what he's, because of course they have these speeches that are kind of written, and for him to stop and just say, really from the honesty of his heart, that this passport and the citizenship gives everyone in this room an opportunity to change their life. And I think it was powerful for him just to say that to us, non-scripted. And that's something that was a very powerful moment for me in this trip.
That's a great one. And the other thing I want to point out is that if you can imagine everybody watching, we're in this sort of great room and it's full of chairs. And I was told that they had just enough chairs for the number of people. So there were probably 69 chairs because there were 59 people there to get citizenship. And then there's the president sitting sort of at the head table. And he greeted each person. He handed each person their passport and gave them a elbow or something. He wasn't shaking hands, but he was doing like this. And that struck me, that he would have that level of intimacy with each one of you all. I was thinking they're not going to be able to keep doing it this way for much longer, because this is a lot. 59 people is a lot of people. But I think in addition to the words that he gave, Will, that those gestures showed how important it is to the country of Sierra Leone that her descendants. Major pillars of his administration is investing in human capital and investing in the people. And you all coming back is a part of that human capital that he spoke of. Jay, what was your highlight? Well, one of them.
Well, one of them, obviously, the Temene naming ceremony, but the production that they had for the Independence, when they had all of the performers on stage and you had a chance to see the different artistry. I mean, it was just so many different things. And then the dancers, when I guess we were at the orientation, and so you had a chance to see a lot of the different aspects of the culture that I was clueless about. Again, American history books didn't teach me about Sierra Leone. They said Africa was this big monolithic place and everybody was the same. So when I went and I saw the different cultures and I was learning about the Mende and the Temene, and it was just like a history lesson that I didn't have for most of my life. So those were the highlights that stand out to me the most.
So I wanted to give a highlight. It looks like Gina is frozen.
Okay.
Are you back, Gina?
Go ahead. You can go.
Yeah. I wanted to piggyback off of what Will said, how impactful that was for us to hear that the president understood what was happening. None of us expected that, but it just made me feel seen. I felt seen, and I felt like I had somebody who had my back, and it felt like I had an option. Like we're here, we're conditioned to be here. You know, we might go visit places, but that was kind of like the first time I felt like I really do have an option. If I want to come here, even just to be a snowbird, even just to come sometimes, I have I have a whole president and a whole country that says, we see you, we see what's happening, and you don't have to put up with it. That's kind of how I felt about it.
Ashe. So what is one of the things that, to talk about, any of you, talk about what you plan to do with your citizenship. Because I think it's one thing to have a passport. Ashley, company of Jelani Women Travel, she was on the trip with us. She's not here because she kept traveling. She went to Guinea, used her Sierra Leone passport, and now she's in Mali on her Sierra Leone passport. So we know what Ashley is doing with her citizenship. But what are some of you planning to do with your citizenship? Just give me and I'll unmute you. Okay, go ahead, Will.
Well, one of the things, being a musician, I was very interested in is the education system there in the schools and the music schools. So I had a great opportunity to visit this school called the Balanta School and get a little bit of history. Gina actually came there with me, thankfully, to take photographs and to document it, because it was something that I wanted to do. Just reading about it wasn't part of the schedule. But in meeting young musicians, having the lovely opportunity to play with, I called kind of the indigenous Stevie Wonder of Sierra Leone, Mr. Sori Kondi, going into the studio with Sori Kondi and going into the studio with these very young musicians that were engineers in their 20s, and the limited resources they had and how much amazing music they were recording, full albums with one microphone and 2 inputs. So one of the things that I plan on doing, and I began already, is making a connection between my background, just being an artist, being a musician, being an engineer, and bringing over my resources to Sierra Leone and my colleagues, all my producer friends that produce hip hop and pop and rock and roll and so on. Not just for myself, but I'd like to also bring my colleagues to the table. I'd like to bring the manufacturers to the table, companies I've endorsed over 30 years, to be able to donate and support with speakers and power cables and microphones and so on, because those are easy things for me to do immediately, which I can do, in the next 48 hours. So I want to make the connection of at least being able to contribute some kind of resources to make the art that I experience even more expansive, and give the folks over there more of an opportunity to create and their music, both pop music and both the indigenous music. So immediately I want to start with that piece. It's a lot of things on my mind, but just on the trip in the 2 weeks that we had, that was the one thing that I know I can do immediately with a couple of phone calls. And that's what I began doing since yesterday.
I love that. And do you all remember? So we had, I don't know, maybe it was day 2 or 3. I can't remember. All the days started blending together, but we hosted an African Ancestry Family Reunion event and invited everybody who had come for citizenship. and there was a band there at the Eminence Band, and the Minister of Tourism, she got the mic and she was welcoming everybody and talking about how important this was. And then she totally turned it up. She had the band come out, and then Will Diallo called Will onto the stage, and he started drumming, and the whole place just erupted. It was incredible, the feeling of connection that not only that we were feeling and that you guys were feeling as the descendants, but that it was two ways. They were feeling it just as equally. And music is certainly one of the best ways for us, and one of the genetic ways, I would argue, that we communicate with each other. What else? Who else is doing something with their citizenship? Okay, I'll go to Chazelle and then you, Jay.
I plan to do 3 things, probably more than 3 things. Oh, can you hear me? Okay, I plan to do at least 3 things. One of them is, it's so in line with what I currently do with young people in the States. So my program, the African Link Initiative, we connect students of African descent with their African culture and lineage. And our program culminates in a birthright trip to the continent. So I intend to connect with the school heritage program that's already established in Sierra Leone. We were with our great friend, Francis Moma, who is the historian for the entire country, for the history of Sierra Leone. A young guy, he's so sharp, he's brilliant, and so humble and just so warm. He was our guide like every single day. So we were really grateful for that. But they have a school heritage program, because what we know is that not only are we disconnected from our heritage here in the States, but children who still live in Sierra Leone, have never left, are also disconnected from their heritage. This program is in at least 10 schools across the country. So I intend to connect and support that program. And the second thing is to help develop human capital. That's also my background in learning and development. And this is one of the main initiatives of the country. And one of the main needs is to help develop human capital. So I intend to plug in to be able to do that. And the third is to buy land, because we know that our ancestors so greatly honored and respected the land. And to be able to connect and buy land and have a place where my family can come back and put their feet down on the soil that our ancestors once left is powerful. So we're trying to get a family reunion, and my family's on the line watching right now. Hey fam, we're trying to get a family reunion in Sierra Leone. Now that's a family reunion for you. So we're trying to get that together. And I've been talk to Diallo about it. So maybe we'll have to hook something up, make another African Ancestry Family Reunion, but for our individual blood family here in the States.
Nice. And what I should say, shout out to Diallo. Shout out to Diallo Sumbri, who is the Director of Partnerships for African Ancestry. And he is the creator and curator of the African Ancestry Family Reunions. And that brother did a phenomenal job I need to unmute everybody. He did a phenomenal job, left no detail uncovered, untouched. And there's a lot of flexibility required when you're traveling to these countries. There's just not a lot of, everything doesn't happen according to a schedule. We'll just put it that way. So Diallo was very good about moving and changing, tweaking our schedule based on the constraints of what was going on around us. So Jay, what you got planned for with your citizens?
I realized that with the privilege that I've been afforded, there's tremendous responsibility. And that's what I concluded. I realized that it really didn't have anything to do with me after a certain point, and connecting the education, bringing education opportunities to Sierra Leone, but also educating us here in the United States and the UK and other places, and using my different platforms to help people understand what really happened and how we can take some of this $1.3 to $1.5 trillion of economic power and begin to take that to Sierra Leone and make different investments to empower the people. Because that's the one thing, some of the smartest people that I have met in my travels are in different parts of Africa. And that's what I saw again in Sierra Leone. So I understood that by making investments as far as real estate are concerned, as far as education is concerned. That's a responsibility that I have because I have access to resources. And by doing that, this is how we restore what a lot of what was stolen by way of the slave trade and all of that. Now, being able to actually physically connect those dots is what I'm looking forward to doing, and I can't wait to get back to Sierra Leone. I have a feeling I'm going to be back in Sierra Leone probably within the next 3 months or so, and really spending time there, learning the culture, and really educating myself to my people. That's the reality, and spending time and listening and seeing what they want and what they need and how I can make a contribution.
Who else is going back in 3 months? Who's going to meet Jay there in 3 months? Rosalind, Miss Rosalind, are you going to meet Jay there in 3 months?
Not in 3 months. Hopefully by the end of the year. Some of my sons are telling me now that they want to go back, and so I'm hoping to do that soon. I'd like to. Some of my family is much of my family is in education, and so that's something that I would like to look at. Investing in education there. So, but definitely hoping to secure a place there also, whether it's land or a home, so that if I choose to be the snowbird, I can do that, and family and friends, whoever can come and go. People are ready and they're ready to come. So I'm looking forward to going back.
Nice. Pamela, I have a question for you. So your son came with us.
Right.
I don't know. He's in his 20s. I don't know how old he is. But what was that like, exposing Africa and Sierra Leone and the idea of reconnection to your son? Because he's a young person, and young people don't always care about the same things that their parents care about.
Yeah, and he really was no different, but he was willing to be open-minded, and he was a good sport about it. And he enjoyed himself, and there were a few little sketchy parts for him that he will never forget. But he really enjoyed it, and he had a good time, better than he thought he was going to have, for sure.
Nice. Shout out to Brandon. Brandon was holding it down with the hamburgers and the the chicken. Some of us, we'd be trying to encourage Brandon to try other stuff, and he's like, "I'll have a hamburger. I'll have some fries."
Yep.
So I don't want to keep you guys on here all night, but I want to just give you the chance to share any closing thoughts about your experience, why you think it's important for people to reconnect, anything that you want to share. I'll start from the bottom this time, and we'll end up with you, Wendy. Will, you got some closing words for the people?
Sure. First thing I want to say is Ashley has been texting me the whole time we're having this conversation, because she's in Mali, and I connected her with a couple of people, and she's already texting me saying how much of a great time she's having, which I'm thrilled that she's having a great time. There's a very famous woman drum set player, Monessa, and she's the most famous female drum set player in Mali, and she just met her. So
oh, nice.
They're hanging out right now. Monessa's like my big sister, so I'm glad they're hanging out. So I just had to say that because you mentioned Ashley, and we're all connected, and here she is hanging out with my homies in Bamako now. But what I like to leave is I recommend everyone to do it if at all possible. And I don't mean that as a business transaction. I mean that as a spiritual reality. We are here and we are connected to a lot of things, and we're disconnected to more things than we know. I know we talk about the Caribbean and South America and Central America, and maybe little trinkets that we may have, or little things of languages of Creole or art that we have in our home, and it's fantastic. But I think going to the source is really important, especially something that Pamela did. I'm really proud of her to bring her son and have him have that. I wish I could have gone with my mom, whatever age, to the continent, because I think, all due respect to Brandon, he's going to really appreciate this more down the line than he may and he's going to remember that his mom took him, which is also important. So those things for me, in my, like, I have a bunch of friends, not to get long-winded, Gina, when I return, that what is it like? How much was the package? Where can I get it? All of a sudden, when I said I was going, everybody was like, I hear that, man. Have a nice time. Bring me a dashiki. Put some dirt in the water bottle. Bring me something from the beach. Whatever. I got those typical corny requests. But when I got back and they saw the passport and they saw the paper, now my journalist friends, I'm talking about serious people here in New York, journalists, professors, PhD holders, these people who are in the deans of universities are now want to go online and get it. So I recommend that it's not what you think it is. It's not like the States. It's not like the Caribbean. It's not like South America. It's not like Central America. It's a different experience. And if you want to really make that connection, I highly recommend that you do it, because it's a part of us that is missing, without a doubt.
Thank you. Now, Will, you and I are the only ones who don't have on T-shirts. I'm not claiming the ancestry, so I get a pass. But you don't have on a T-shirt. So tell us about what you're wearing.
I am wearing this beautiful shirt of Mende cloth. It's just traditional Mende cloth, and these are the colors of the Sierra Leonean flag. It's blue, white, and green. It's hope, unity, and agriculture. And I love this. And I went to the African market. I'm wearing this really today because I went to 116th Street African Market, showing off my Sierra Leone shirt. Because when I go to the market, everybody wants to adopt me. The Senegalese was like, nah, he's Senegal. And I go to the Gambian booth and then he's from Gambia. And I go to the Mali booth because I'm in Mali all the time. Like, he's Malian. So today I went to correct everybody and let everybody know it's been nice to be adopted over the last 25 years, but I have real parents now. Now I could show up and say, here. So they were all blown. They gave me gifts, and somebody handed me a scarf. They asked me, where are you from? And I mentioned Sierra Leone and Guinea-Bissau. And they started saying, this scarf is from Guinea-Bissau. This thing is from, so I left to the market with gifts today, but I went there just to, spend a little money, buy a couple products, but I really wanted to show this off. I'm not afraid to say, and let the people know now where I'm from. And I've been going to that market 30 years. And it was, so this was really my show off day, my return show off day gear. And that's kind of really why I have it on. But it was a beautiful experience, and all of my colleagues and friends from different parts of the continent were thrilled that I went. They were very happy. One lady started crying, lady that I get all my cowrie shells from and stuff. She got really emotional, and it was a beautiful experience. So that's what the colors mean. This is my new uniform, I'm going to call it. And these are the colors that represent Sierra Leone and my dad's side of the family, and it's an honor to wear it and know what it means and wear it with pride and know that this is what's running through my veins. So very happy to have this. So thanks for the experience, and I want to say it was really a pleasure meeting everybody. I don't travel in groups. Gina was a little bit nervous that I wasn't going to want to hang with y'all, and I'm not on no kind of rock star vibe. It's just I just don't travel in groups. I kind of like doing my own thing. And I was a little leery in the beginning about doing a group trip. And when I met y'all, it was dope. It was like I knew y'all. Everyone was like a family member or something. Everybody was lovely. And I just want to say I loved chatting with y'all individually and as a group, and having breakfast with y'all and having dinner and hanging out and all those kind of things. It's rare that you go on a trip with people and you like everybody, just keeping it real. But y'all were fantastic trip mates. So I'm going to stay in touch with everyone. I love everyone. And thanks everybody for being the beautiful people that you are on this trip. I really had a blast. All
right, Chazelle, you got to follow that. What are your closing thoughts? Before you say that, though, I want to shout out PC Howard. She's in the house in the comments, and she is one of the African Ancestry family members who traveled to Sierra Leone early on in getting her results. And she has an organization that is working to connect Africans and the diaspora. So I just want to shout you out, PC Howard. We love you as an African Ancestry family member. Okay, Chazelle.
I have to say, if you don't know where you come from, it's hard to understand where you are, and it's even more difficult to see where you can go. that is the epitome of, I think, a lot of experiences. I know it's the epitome of my experience, particularly as a young person. And finding out, please don't underestimate the power of finding out where you are from. And that means not where you from, I'm from Alabama, because that was my story. Where are you from? Oh, my people from Alabama. No, where are you from? Oh, that. I could never tell anyone before because I didn't know. Don't underestimate the power, the personal power you will get from knowing where your connections are before slavery. Don't underestimate the power of knowing that leapfrog across the ocean back to the continent to know where your people actually came from before they were enslaved. Give that to yourself, give that to your children, give that to your family. That is a gift that is priceless. And if you get the opportunity, travel to the continent. As Will said, it is nothing like you've seen on TV. There's nothing like you've ever seen in books here in the States. It is a personal experience. I recommend that every person, particularly every person of African descent, has at least one time in their life. And my closing remarks with me, mirroring what Will said, is I don't travel in groups either. This is my second trip to the continent. I've been to Kenya, Ghana. I spent 6 weeks there by myself. So I'm a solo traveler too. But this group was incredible. And I must say that if you're going to travel in a group, you can go with any group you want to. I recommend you go with the African Ancestry Family Reunions because I've been with you guys. I experienced it, and not being a group traveler, it was a fantastic experience. And I connected with each and every person on the trip and formed relationships with each and every one of them. And I'm a little bit of a hermit kind of person. People don't know that about me. I'm a little bit of a recluse.
Wait a minute. No. Does anybody on this call believe that Chazelle is I wish we had some video queued up. Chazelle, you're the dancing queen. No, you can't be a hermit and the dancing queen. That's impossible.
I am. Believe it. When I'm dancing, I'm in my own world. Because if you look at the video, you see I'm dancing and I don't even know what the other person's doing. I'm just like in my own groove. It don't even matter. So that's my hermit thing coming out. I was dancing with somebody, but I don't really know what they was doing. So, and it didn't even matter because the dance was about what I felt like doing, not what they was doing with me. So this was a fantastic experience. I recommend so highly. I could not recommend it more highly. And shout out to my son and my daughter on the line, Shakira and Seven, and my cousin Regina on the line. And I think I might have some more family on the line. So if I missed your name, forgive me, but I love y'all. And I'm doing this for y'all. I did this for y'all, for my granddaughters, Abijah and Maya. This is our birthright. This is our birthright. Dual citizenship is our birthright. Go and get it today. Do not hesitate. Do not think twice. Save up your money for it. If you're going to buy another big purchase, consider switching that money and doing this with it. It could change your life. Our family's planning on going back. We're talking about, I know you guys are going back in November. I don't know if we can rig it for then, but maybe in February. My husband and I are already talking about it. So this is something you don't want to miss in your lifetime if you can. So that's it. I love all y'all. Peace to my family.
I say Chazelle. What about you, Jay?
I'll say it like this. African Ancestry changed my life because 2.5 years ago is when we sat down and I came to do the reveal, clueless about everything, never been to the continent, didn't know, I was green. And so when we sat down and had that conversation and I learned about the Temene tribe, and it was like it began a snowball effect. And so tomorrow, I'm leaving for my 9th African country. I'm going to South Africa tomorrow. My son, he's in Egypt right now. And this is all as a result, and he's 21. So he's there by himself. And it all started with that conversation we had at the office 2.5 years ago. And so and then being on the African Ancestry Family Reunion and watching the level of professionalism, the level of attention to detail, all of that, it just spoke volumes, one, to Black excellence, and it spoke volumes to the effort and energy that you've put in over the past 18, 19 years into African ancestry and the value of what this gem that we have in our community that takes us to the specific tribes. When I also learned that I'm a descendant of the Mafa tribe in Cameroon. We've taken at least 6 tests in my household and traced them to different parts on the continent. So we have Nigeria represented, we have Gabon represented, we have Cameroon represented, we have Sierra Leone, and so that's what this means to me. Our entire family, our lives have changed. Now my sons can go get their citizenship in Sierra Leone. We now see the world through different eyes as a result of AfricanAncestry.com. I recommend everybody get this test, take the test, and learn where you come from, because your life won't be the same. And that's what you hear everyone echoing as they're talking about this experience. So go on the next African Ancestry Family Reunion, especially if you're Sierra Leone, that's coming up, whether it's Senegal, whether it's Cameroon, or Burkina Faso. I believe that's the other one that you mentioned. Make sure that you go and experience it for yourself.
Thank you, Jay, for that public service announcement. I appreciate that. But I want to shout out Francis Momo. He joined us, everybody. We were talking about Francis earlier and how he just was an incredible source of knowledge for us the entire time we were there. So we love you, Francis, and shout out to you. You can watch the replay to see everybody singing your praises. And thank you, Jay, for contextualizing your African ancestry experience. I think that's very important. Mama Rosalind, okay.
I pretty much am going to echo everything everyone has said and encourage everyone to go ahead and find out where you're from, where do you belong. It really does help fit that picture, close that picture, so you know this is who I am. I also recently just found out, just before this trip, where Father's Line was, which is Cameroon, and so that's another place that I'd like to visit. But also to say that going with African Ancestry Family Reunion, it was such a great time, such a well-organized group. Diallo really put the trip together. He gave us connections. It's like when I sat back and thought about all the things that he did, to make sure we had great connections for when we come back, and the things that we did while we were there, meeting people, and just all the things that he exposed us to. And I'm just thankful to him, thankful for African Ancestry for making this all possible, for me to make this trip, because if I didn't do it now, I don't know when I would have done it again. So when it came up for me, I had to do it. I'm the eldest one here in the group, and it's like, you just don't, tomorrow's not promised. And so I needed to do this for my family. So I told them, I'm handing y'all the torch. I made the step, I'm making connections, and I really want you all to go back and see where you're from and what you can do to be a part of this history that we're making for our family. So thankful again, thankful to you, Dr. G and Wendy, and also everyone that I met on the trip. It was such a beautiful experience. I'm so happy to have met each and every one of you. It was the best time for me.
Thank you. And I'm glad that you mentioned, Mama Rosalind, that you were the elder of the group. And you are wise and respected, but then we also had the other end, we had millennial on the trip. So we had the full range. And actually, I don't even know if Brandon, he might be Gen Z or something. I don't know what the different titles are. But we had a wide range of ages and experiences on the trip, which I think added to the fullness of the experience. What is your closing thought, Pamela?
My closing thought is to anyone who has not taken the African Ancestry test, what are you waiting for? Take it. Find out where you come from. Take a visit with African Ancestry Family Reunion if they're having a tour that goes there. A lot of people kind of try to discourage me from going to Africa, and don't let them do it. Take that trip, take that test, and tell them deuces, and get you a passport if that's what's being offered. This was extremely well worth any money that I could have paid for this trip. I know people think that, oh, it's the price is this and that. You get what you pay for. I got more than what I expected on this trip, and it was worth every cent. Every cent. Thank you, African Ancestry.
And
Thank you, Dr. Gina.
Thank you, Pamela. And I have to say, in terms of watching, so I'm bringing the color, I guess, because I had a different experience because my ancestry is not Sierra Leonean. But again, and not to pick on you, Pamela, but there are so many highlights of you in my mind. So we had clothing made. And when the designer brought Pamela's outfit, she had a couple of other things, but she tried on this one dress, and I don't know if anybody else noticed this, but she came out, and I was like, who is that? You were a completely different person when you had that pink outfit on.
Yes.
But it was so nice to see. I mean, clearly you were engaged and fit, but when you were Sierra Leonean in that moment. It was very nice to see. All right, so now we're going to go to Wendy. Wendy's going to bring it home. And Wendy, we have to give a special shout out to Wendy because not only did she participate as a traveler, but she was also there as African Ancestry to help with the logistics and kind of Wendy made sure we were down in the lobby when we were supposed to be there. Wendy made sure that we gave whatever information we had to give. Wendy made sure everybody was feeling okay. And if somebody needed some ginger or some coconut water or something, Wendy was there with a holistic approach to caring for us. So thank you very much for that, Wendy. Your presence was definitely, I'm trying to think of a good word. Your presence was critical. It was crucial and very, very important to the entire experience. So what are your closing thoughts?
So Pamela stole my closing thoughts. I was going to be like, take this test. You know, I took it in 2007. And again, and my family members took it in 2013 and 2015, and it has been life-changing. But what I want to say is, Gina, you are appointed. This is your divine assignment. I know you know that. And I know it probably is a lot. And it's probably, you know, it'll get even bigger and it'll scale even larger because everybody's going to want to go. And I know you know you have my support. I just help, I help with 1% of all the things that you have to do. But I just know that besides the ancestors who are giving you and will give you and continue to give you everything you need, you have these new family members who will also have your back as well. So the load might be heavy, but now you have support. So just receive the support. And as much as we can help, we will, because everybody needs to do this. I feel like I'm untethered. Like I felt like my foot maybe was kind of stuck here because I didn't have any other options. And when President Bio said that they see us and that we have options, I felt more free. So that's my final on that.
Thank you, Wendy. I think you've been talking to some other people on this live in the background, giving me that encouragement. So thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks to all of you. Listen, I know that you have a lot of things going on, and I know that thank you, Plishette, that you could have been doing something else tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, but I really think it was important for you all to share your experiences because so many people don't know. And maybe we'll do a follow-up in a couple of months if you all don't mind to see, you know, when Jay gets back from his second visit and when Ashley's back and we can hopefully get Diallo on just to see, kind of chart the journey, because it's one thing to talk about it right after you get back. You know, you're still on the high and the adrenaline is flowing, but let's see how we follow through with these things and how we learn and grow and evolve after having some months to sit with your new identities as Sierra Leoneans. I got a whole bunch of Sierra Leonean cousins now. A lot of you have been shouting out Cameroon. Just so you know, we are working on the country of Cameroon. We have some close relationships with Cameroon. So we're working on that, to not just for a family reunion, but hoping to be able to push the tide over to them offering citizenship as well. Cameroon was the first country that African Ancestry family members visited in 2010. And so we have some deep roots there. And then for those of you who we've traced to Burkina Faso, we are working on a trip to Burkina Faso, and they saw what Sierra Leone has offered, and they are now planning to offer citizenship to people who are Burkina Bay. So Jay, I don't know if Burkina Faso came up in all those 6 tests your family has taken. But that is coming down the pike. So I want everybody to please be sure to visit travel.africanancestry.com. And if you're a family member, you can go on any trip. So you've heard about Sierra Leone, you've heard about the great experience. If you've taken our test, you can come with us anywhere that we go. You don't just have to go to your country of origin. For those of you who haven't taken your African ancestry test yet, you heard it from Wendy, you heard it from Pamela, you heard it from Rosalind, you heard it from Jay, you heard it from Chazelle, you heard it from Will. I don't have to tell you to do it. You heard it from them. Go to AfricanAncestry.com and trace your maternal ancestry and or your paternal ancestry. And the one thing I want to make sure you all understand is this test is not just for you. When Chazelle took the test, that meant that those Sierra Leonean results applied to her children, to their children, to her siblings, their children, her mother, her aunts, her uncles, her cousins. Everybody on the maternal line shares the same result from one test. The same with Will, the same with Jay, all of them got kids. Everybody who came on the trip, except for me and Ashley and Alexandria, have children. And so this is not just for you. It's for your entire family with just 3 cheek swabs. That's all it takes for you to be able to honor those people who came before you. You now get to honor them in a tangible and real way. You can wear Mende cloth. You can talk in Creole. You can talk about the meaning of your name. All of those things that you've seen the family members here be able to do, you can teach your kids. You can share it with other people just from 3 cheek swabs. So I want to encourage you all to check out AfricanAncestry.com and don't wait. We are going to, Phyllis said, where are we going in November? I'm ready. We're going back to Sierra Leone in November, Phyllis. So you got to get on that trip. Yes, and PC Howard's organization is Diafrican. She's creating the Diafrican Reunion, so stay tuned for that. That's all I have. Listen, we traveled during the pandemic knowing that the pandemic was real. We kept those masks on for like 21 hours or something, y'all, right? It took us forever to get between the United States and Sierra Leone. And even for those of you who had to go beyond DC, even longer. The pandemic is still real, so please continue to be smart. Please continue to wear your masks when appropriate. Please continue to support your immune system. Please continue to support your mental health and that of those who you love. And until we get to meet again next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, may you be happy, may you be healthy, and may you be whole. See you all next time, family.